Okay. Okay, got it. So I'm a passionate believer of a book which is called Blue Ocean Strategies. And that book teaches us, based on real research, based on real companies, real industries, that too often people are staying in the red ocean, meaning they keep doing the same old, same old. Yes, they say they are different than the others, which in principle is they're putting lipstick on a pig, but it's still called a pig. And the value of the customer, the value proposition for the customer is not there, and prices go up. So in this book, it really teaches us to position ourselves in the blue ocean and become so distinct and so unique that you make your competitors irrelevant, and that the value proposition for your customer goes beyond, and you do it at a efficient price level and cost level. So with that, when I went into healthcare, the first meeting I had with all the physician leaders, and remember, I had no healthcare experience. I told them, I want to become the Cirque du Soleil of healthcare. So Cirque du Soleil is a typical example of a blue ocean strategy company, which really became so distinct and so unique in the circus industry that they made their well-known competitors irrelevant. So I made a statement. I said, I want to be the Cirque du Soleil of healthcare. And all the physicians looked at me with these big eyes, and in their eyes I could read CEO gone wild. But then I asked them, I begged them, please read this book. And they all read it. And 3 weeks later, they came back and they said, we understand what you're trying to accomplish. We will give you the benefit of the doubt, but you promise us, if it doesn't work, we go back to the traditional way we deliver healthcare. And out of that principle, out of that philosophy, we did not open a hospital. We actually opened a community center for well-being, where foremost, it was all about clinical excellence. It was all about patient safety. But why, in addition, could we not become health coaches and health mentors in the community? And that meant that we redesigned the facility to not look like a hospital, to not smell like a hospital, to not have that feeling of, oh, it's a scary place. Mm-hmm. Oh, we opened it up and we made it feel like your journey of wellness starts here. Your journey of recovery starts here, not your journey of illness. So with all that, to cut a long story short, we became one of the most innovative hospitals in the United States of America, because we were able to create a distinctive, unique experience blueprint where we did give the greatest medical care, because I had the Henry Ford Medical Group, one of the oldest employed physician groups in America, who I knew were going to drive quality, who I knew were going to drive excellence. But then we started to create activities to attract the local clientele. So when you walked in, you had a wellness spa called Vita, which was all about focusing on women, because the whole hospital was designed around women, because women make 95% of the purchasing power in healthcare. So what were the unexpressed wishes and needs of women? Well, they didn't want to just come to a hospital for their cold mammograms. They also wanted to go to a space where they had a health coach who could advise them on, here's how you deal with stress. Here's how you deal with your weight issues. Here's how you deal with, any stresses in your life because of travel, of your husband, you having to run around with a couple of kids, etc. So that was the first thing you saw when you walked in. And right next to it, we had a 100-seat auditorium with a state-of-the-art kitchen line, where we did cooking classes for the community. People with diabetes, heart conditions, cancers, people like us who want to stay healthy through food, because food is medicine. Food is healing. But that was not good enough. Then we created the first hydroponic organic greenhouse in healthcare in the United States of America. Beautiful building with an education center attached to it, where we grew our own produce, not just for the patients, not just for the staff members, but also for the community. So now the community came every day to buy produce. And then we created with those produce cooking classes for them in the auditorium. And by the way, we had cameras everywhere, so we piped it into the patient rooms. So we started to make patients think differently. What should I start eating when I go back home after my discharge? But that was not good enough. We decided to blow up all the deep fryers, all the freezers, and create an environment that we had the #1 health restaurant in the community. So now, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, this place was packed, not just with employees, not just with family members of patients, but with community members who felt comfortable enough to come here and eat good quality food, which actually tasted good. But that was not good enough. Then we said, we don't want a patient to be in a white clinical box pulled away from the community. So we started to create activities around the patients. So I had the Philharmonic Orchestra giving every month a concert in my beautiful big atrium, which was overlooked by patients, piped the music into the patient rooms. Then we had every Sunday a jazz concert. 600 people in the community came and started to really participate in this community center for well-being. And then I shocked the entire world, because one day I was in a Starbucks and there was a young couple discussing what they had to do for their wedding, and they didn't have a lot of money. I walked up to them and I offered them to do their wedding in my hospital. They thought I was crazy, but I paid personally for their wedding, spent $30,000 on their wedding, and made it a Ritz-Carlton plus wedding. The people were blown away. But what started to happen when this all happened, the patients were asking the nurses, can you push my bed closer to the window? Patients who could walk were on the balustrades looking down. It lifted up the spirits of the people who were there for clinical care. So it is no surprise, with all these unique, distinct blue ocean thoughts, that after 2 years, and you have to remember, we opened in the worst economic time ever in the United States in 2009. But after 2 years, we stole significant market share from very well-established competitors who have been there for decades. We had the highest patient engagement scores in the country. We had the highest employee engagement scores in the country, because I said, I don't want to be the best in healthcare. I want to be the best in the service industry. So I was beating Ritz-Carlton 4 seasons in employee engagement scores. Because when you have a highly emotional engaged employee, guess what happens? He or she feels valued. He or she will not leave you for a couple of more dollars. He or she will communicate better. In healthcare, that means we're saving lives. We're reducing medical hours. And if you have a highly emotionally engaged employee, they highly emotionally engage with your customer, the patient, the family members. So that the patient, the family member says, I can't imagine a world without your hospital. And by the way, my length of stay, because all the activities we did there, was reduced. We saved money. My readmission rates were the lowest in the Midwest. We reduced money. So all these other activities, which we didn't get reimbursed for, we were able to do by really being extremely efficient and creating an experience blueprint for the customer, the patient, whereby they healed faster and where they adhered better to all the instructions which was given to them. And so in the end, this hospital became one of the most profitable hospitals in the not-for-profit healthcare world. So my Ritz-Carlton training, I brought that to healthcare and really didn't look upon this hospital as a hospital. No, I looked upon it as a hotel where people came to check in and had to stay overnight. Different reasons than an hotel, but they still a guest in my home. So why wouldn't I put all my focus on that guest? Why wouldn't I deliver on their unexpressed wishes and needs so that in return, they really would heal faster and therefore live a better quality life? So that's kind of an example of the leadership, Henry Ford Health System with me, myself and my team created to really say we're not a red ocean company, we are a blue ocean company, and this is how we are going to create a difference and improve and enhance the value proposition to the most important customer, which is the patient.
So in the end, it's all about the humans, no? Despite of the labeling, it's a hospital, it's about the service to the customer, as you said, it not to the guest.
Yeah, and not only that, it's about humanizing healthcare. Humanizing healthcare is so important, and in general, healthcare doesn't get that, because when you come to a medical facility or to a hospital, doesn't matter what your background is, doesn't matter whether you're poor or rich, doesn't matter what culture you come from. When you step into a medical facility, you're worried, you're concerned, you're scared. You don't know what's going to happen to you. You don't know how it impacts your loved ones. You don't know how it impacts your work. You need more genuine care and comfort than any five-star deluxe hotel guest. But that's not how healthcare leaders have been brought up. No, it's about fixing an issue. It's about fixing this disease. It is doing a surgery. This is what we're here for. But what they don't realize is that around that, there is a human being there. And that human being needs emotional connectivity. And research has shown if that emotional connectivity is there, if we involve the family members in the treatment of the patients, that therefore things started to really help in the healing of the customer, but also in the adherence to the instructions of how they need to better take care of them, so that we can significantly reduce cost in healthcare through less length of stay, significant reduction in readmissions, and also creating a culture where the workforce is not fearful, is not scared to speak up, communicates better, because there are 300,000 people unnecessarily dying in the United States today because we don't communicate effectively in our healthcare organizations. Think about that. Think about that. So, we believe that, healthcare has an incredible opportunity to really deliver a whole different experience blueprint, in addition to the great clinical care the healthcare organizations are bringing.
How do you develop such a vision? Because not only in the health sector, you did great things, but also with Ritz-Carlton, no? And maybe we go to the beginning of Gerard van Grinsven. How did it start? I saw you went to the hotel management school in Maastricht. You're from Holland. And maybe you could give us a little bit about your biographical as well as professional development. You traveled quite a lot. You worked in so many countries. And I think these are all things that marked your life, no? Marked your professional life, no?
Well, I was very fortunate at a very young age to be exposed to some of the best hospitality products and services out there. At the age of 23, I moved from England, where I was working in London, to the Mandarin Oriental in Jakarta, Indonesia, where I run the restaurant called the Club Room, which in those days, that was the leading restaurant in town. And nobody trusted that a 23-year-old kid could run a fine dining restaurant. And the first thing I asked the general manager when I arrived there, may I have your car and your driver? He said, why do you need my car and my driver? I said, because I want every day before lunch and after lunch, I want to go and introduce myself to those people in their workplaces, to the CEOs, to the sales and marketing directors, to the ministers, to the clergies. I want to go and introduce myself and ask them if they maybe want to come and try my restaurant. So I did that for 6 months religiously every day. And I went to their workplaces. I didn't ask them to come to mine. I went to their workplaces. I'm very nervous. I went in their office and said, hello, I'm Gerard. I'm the new maître d'hôtel of this beautiful restaurant. I'm just wanted to introduce myself, and would you please give me a chance to come and try my restaurant? So when you have a young kid coming, introducing himself and ask, would you please give me a chance? The majority probably will say, yeah, why not? Next time, instead of my favorite restaurant, I'll give the kid a chance and I go there. But then think what I did. Every time any of them came, I went overboard. I made sure the chef personally came out to greet them. I made sure that they got a special dessert made by the pastry chef with my compliments, a glass of wine with my compliments, and my staff were all over it. So these people were blown away, and they went out and talked and talked. So within 1 year, I tripled my dinner covers and I doubled my lunch covers, which then got me promoted to the Oriental in Bangkok, which for 10 consecutive years was voted #1 hotel in the world. And there I worked for one of the best hoteliers in the world, Mr. Kurt Wachtfighter. And he really helped me to understand how you really have to, surprise and delight the customer. And he taught us that it starts with your people, the people who work for you. If you surprise and delight the people you work for, then they will surprise and delight your customer. It's as simple as that. Very simple, but nobody gets that. So I had a wonderful time there. I was in charge of the catering of the palace of the King of Thailand. I took care of Charles and Diana, King of Spain, the Queen of Denmark, Ronald Reagan, his last overseas visit, my personal crown prince, who's now the King of the Netherlands. And so I learned a lot. While I was there, my staff were teaching me rather than me teaching them. And then from there, I went to Hong Kong, opened a brand new hospital, opened the best fine.
Could we know about your day life in Jakarta, but also in Bangkok? I guess it was not a typical 8 to 5 job, because you were 23 years old, you were in your spare time, I guess, visiting these other people, not potential customers, right?
Yeah, and also as mentioned at the time, I also had to work at nighttime. So these were intense days of work, but I didn't care.
Yeah, but exactly. Where does this come from? Because not many people have this attitude, especially with when you are 23 years old, that you say, in my free time, I will do this and this and this. Was it always like this, that you were like so proactively?
Well, it was just a clear desire to want to learn about people. Because don't forget, whether you're in healthcare or hospitality, you're in the business of people, you're in the business of relationships. And I think my parents brought me up in a way that relationships were extremely important, and that you had to treat people with trust and respect and dignity. And so that was already given to me by my parents. But I had this yearning for learning. I have this yearning to want to get to know people, so that people in return could teach me what life was all about, what their expectations were, and what was important to them. And I think the message for the young people today is, you can't just walk into the world and expect things to come to you without you investing in relationships and you investing in people. And so I had that in my DNA from the get-go. And and I utilize it very effectively accordingly. So with that, I went to Hong Kong, opened a brand new hotel there. Then I joined the Peninsula in Manila, went through a major renovation of that entire hotel, went through a military earthquake, went through a military coup, an earthquake and a volcanic eruption. We were occupied by the rebels for 5 days, where we really had some scary moments, learned a lot again through people there. And then I joined the Ritz-Carlton hotel company in Seoul, Korea, opened the biggest food and beverage hotel in the company. We had 12 F&B outlets. I was very proud that I opened the first nightclub in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company, which was called Nix and Nox, the Greek god and goddess of the night. It became a very sophisticated nightclub, and financially this hotel was extremely successful, and that led me to be asked by Horst Schulze, the co-founder of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company, to come to Atlanta and become the vice president food and beverage for Ritz-Carlton hotels worldwide. Opened 26 Ritz-Carlton hotels all over the world, in Asia, Middle East, Europe, and the United States. And then I got tired, because I was on a plane all the time, that I asked the new president of Ritz-Carlton, Simon Cooper, if I could have my own hotel. And at that time, there was Singapore, stunning hotel, Jamaica, on the beautiful 2 golf courses on the ocean. There was Los Angeles, and then he paused and he said, there's the Ritz-Carlton in Dearborn. And everybody was shocked that I took the Ritz-Carlton in Dearborn.
Michigan, right?
In Michigan, yeah. That was one of the worst performing hotels in the portfolio. The staff was demoralized. People felt we couldn't make money there. And the hotel had a pretty bad nickname in our company. And I said, I want that hotel, and I can prove that because of our philosophy of we are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen, that we can turn that hotel around. And I went there, created the Ritz-Carlton Reborn program, and within 1 year, we became the most improved hotel in the history of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company. And that led to have me run 4 Ritz-Carlton hotels in the Midwest: Cleveland, St. Louis, Philadelphia, and Dearborn. And then one day, a regular guest came to me and said, I'd like you to be my CEO in my company. And he was a physician, and he ran a company called ER1, which stands for Emergency Room 1, where he ran on behalf of hospitals the emergency rooms, highly successful. And I told him, I'm sorry, sir, but I'm a hotelier. What do I know about healthcare? And he said, well, you know everything about people, you know everything about service. I want you. And I got intrigued. And that led me to another regular guest, who every Thursday night was coming for dinner with her father. And that was Nancy Schlichting, who was the president and CEO of Henry Ford Health System, $6.2 billion company. And I went to her for advice. What do you know about this guy? What can you tell me? And she basically told me, I can't give you any advice. And I said, why not? And then her finger came out, because you will work for me. And I laughed, but she was very serious. And that led me to get the offer to become president and CEO of a brand new hospital, $360 million investment, which wasn't even built. And that to me was the most amazing challenge in my career, to prove that what I all had learned in the hospitality world, could I translate that into the healthcare world. And the likelihood that I would fail was very high. But because of the support of Nancy, the support of the Henry Ford Health System, we were able to really create a whole new distinct blue ocean concept in how healthcare should be delivered. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Great, really impressive. And also the young age, the positions the responsibilities rather, that you had. Could you tell us maybe for the persons that maybe are not in the hospitality industry, how does it look like? Of course, there's no average day, but how could we imagine a day as a GM of a Ritz-Carlton hotel? And how was your day as Vice President Foods and Beverage Operations, I think you said, for the Ritz-Carlton company as a corporate level? How, what is the main issues? Maybe you could tell us some anecdotes. You traveled a lot. You mentioned you opened so many hotels. So probably there is not one country that you haven't visited. Some kind of Marco Polo. Maybe you could elaborate a little bit on that. And another question was, you mentioned Kurt Wachtfeitel. If you had to choose one thing that he taught you, what would it be?
So, you know, in the life of a general manager, or the life of a vice president food and beverage, or the life of a president, CEO of a hospital, it's all the same. You have to be a leader of people. If I may add, a servant leader of people. You can't come in and play the boss. You can't come in and say, this is what we're going to do. You need to, first of all, treat people with trust, respect, and dignity. Then, with your vision, you need to involve them in the decision-making, meaning let them contribute to how can we create this unique vision? How do we need to execute it? What role can I play so that I can buy into that vision, so I can support you, Mr. Leader, to really be on your bus and make that happen. So the secret of a great leader is not about being smart or not having had years of experience or travel around the world. It's about how do you treat people? How do you create a culture of highly emotional, engaged people? Because every study, every research has shown, if you have a talent-based culture where it's all about your talent and you invest heavily in that talent, your outcomes, your business outcomes are going to be exceeded, because now you have a workforce which feels valued, they feel respected, they feel that they're empowered to make decisions, meaning you don't put them in a box, you don't create a lot of bureaucracy, you unleash them to do what they are really good at. And then you get out of the way and you applaud and encourage and recognize. So that is something which I learned through my work with Kurt Wachtfeitel, my work with Horst Schulze. And he was Horst Schulze was a very demanding leader. So was Kurt. Very demanding on what they wanted. But they understood that it only can be done if you truly make your workforce feel valued, because they are your most important assets in your organization. And I think that really helped me to really, create the outcomes I created. For instance, when I was VP of food and beverage, I had food and beverage directors, executive chefs all over the world. And I was in Atlanta. I said, how am I going to inspire these people? Because remember, food and beverage people are artists. You don't send emails to them. You don't put them in meetings. You don't put them in front of that's not what you do. You need to let these artists touch things, smell things, taste things. That's how they work. That's how they think. That's how they create. That's how they become innovative. So I became the VP and I thought, how can I engage these young people? So I decided, you know what, the best way to do, I'm going to create a trip where I take all of them, and at that time there were 75 leaders. I take them all to Europe for 10 days. And we go into Frankfurt, I will get a double-decker bus, and I'm going to take them to all the top restaurants in Germany, in France, all the top wineries. I'm going to take them to China factories, silverware factories. I'm going to take them to farms where they see how goat cheese is being made. And that's how I'm going to engage them. That's how I'm going to inspire them around the vision of where we want to be from food and beverage. So I went to Horst and I said, this is my idea. He went crazy. He said, are you crazy? What do you think this all costs? And who hired you? I said, you did, sir. But what I did, I went to all the suppliers in those days and said, are you willing to invest in the future of my people? So yes, of course, Gerard, we are with you. So I took those leaders for 10 days on this trip. When we came, we were all strangers to each other. We hardly communicated with each other in the past. We didn't share best practices. After 10 days only, we were like this, one team. We became friends. We started to communicate, share best practices, and the outcomes in food and beverage went through the roof for the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company. So that is an example what servant leadership is about. It's not about you sending out expectations. This is what I want that food cost percentage, I want this labor percent. That's not how you talk to these people. You inspire them, and then through the inspiration you start coaching and mentoring them so that they will actually exceed your outcomes and not deliver on your outcomes.
Wow, hey, incredible. Could you maybe also give us an example of one of these conversations with Horst Schulze? Because you mentioned he's a very high demanding leader. How can we imagine that? He was calling you to his office, or?
No, Horst made it crystal clear. We need to exceed the unexpressed wishes and needs of our customers. And he would not tolerate anything less than that. And rightfully so, because we were targeting the 1 to 5% of the customers who could afford to come to Ritz-Carlton. And he strongly believed that if we wanted to be the #1 hotel company, we had to make sure that the moment that customer arrived at our door, that he or she, her needs, her expectations were exceeded in every single sense, and that nothing would stop us from making sure that customer would walk away from that Ritz-Carlton and would go and talk about that Ritz-Carlton and became the most loyal marketeer of our company. Horst refused to spend a dime on marketing in the first 10 years of the company. Why? Because he strongly believed if we deliver on the unexpressed wishes and needs of each customer every single day, they will tell the whole world about us, and that will bring new customers, which it did. Horst always had a very passionate saying, never lose a guest. Whatever you need to do when the guest is not happy, turn it around. That's why each employee at the Ritz-Carlton was allowed to spend $2,000 to turn around a customer if he or she would not be happy, and no question asked. Well, nobody hardly used it because we had this culture where we had people who naturally, automatically wanted to surprise and delight, wanted to exceed the expectations of our customers. So the difficult conversations with Horst would be if we did not deliver on exactly that. And but he was an extraordinary leader. So was Simon Cooper, who followed him, by the way, afterwards. A whole different leader, but also highly effective, because Simon and Horst had one thing in common. It's all about our ladies and gentlemen. If our ladies and gentlemen are treated with trust, respect, and dignity, are involved in the decision-making, and are empowered to do what they know best, you don't have to worry about the guest satisfactions, the turnover, the financial results, etc., etc., etc.
How is the average day now for you? Because you have a own hospitality group, you give also speeches, you are still very active, and you still look so young, although with your experience you have, you are very young. Yeah, your appearance in general, your thinking, you're still open, because yeah, from my experience also, many persons with a certain age, they settle down, like they don't want to learn something new, they don't aspire to quality, to excellence. And maybe this would also be a question, what, especially because what you mentioned, and also the Ritz-Carlton experience, what is excellence for you?
Well, I mean, and thank you for the compliments, by the way, but in my role now at the Van Grinsven Hospitality Group, one of the reasons I started that, I want to give back. I want to give back to organization what I was taught by some of the greatest leaders in the service industry today. And so, and it really energizes me to give back, and to go into companies and inspire them that there's a different way and how you can impact your outcomes for your customer. To go on speeches and inspire young people that, you know, you can feel comfortable with being uncomfortable. You can be comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. And you can do anything you put your mind to. And look at me, I moved into healthcare with zero healthcare experience and was able to make an impact. So if I can do it, why can't you do it? So first of all, my energy comes from there. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm still 30 years old. And I wake up that way and I go to bed that way. And every day I'm full of energy because I feel I can help bringing a difference. And so I will continue doing that for many years to come, because as you know, in particular after COVID-19, I mean, there's a lot of concerns, and there's a lot of staff shortages, and there's a lot of concern, how can we create excellent customer service and experiences? And today's companies have to really stop the train and go back to rethink, how do we create a culture that people will be attracted to come to us, and that our people we have will remain with us. But many organizations don't think that way, because they're so blinded by their performance financially that they don't make the right investments in the most important assets, which are the people. So this post-COVID-19 period is going to allow companies, if they have the foresight, to reimagine how they create the culture for their workforce. And that's where I believe I can bring a lot of value and help these organizations in how to do that.
When you make a mistake, how do you act or react? Because I guess also you have done mistakes or things wrong during your career. And another question would be, how do you select people? Because you mentioned also the staff shortage now because of the pandemic. And especially during your hospitality years, how did you knew this person, like Horst Schulze said in his book, don't come to work, come to be excellent. And all these attitudes of we are lady, and the philosophy, we are ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. How do you select? How do you know this person has the potential, this person has the right attitude?
Well, I call that, are you going to just open or run a company, or are you becoming a talent-based organization? Many organizations and many industries make the mistake that they hire warm bodies, meaning they look at a resume, sometimes that resume is inflated, then they bring the person in, he or she, dresses well, says the right things, most of the time the things they like to hear, you as an organization, and then you say, let's hire this individual. But I call that blind hiring, because you have no clue what are the natural talents of that individual. So you basically hope and pray that this person works out. So in my humble opinion, you first foremost, you have to look at the natural talents of this candidate. So you need to use a scientific evidence-based tool, which gives you an X-ray. Does this individual have natural talents for compassion, for relationships? Kind of important in the service industry, kind of important in healthcare, in hospitals, in hotels. So once you have an X-ray of, but it has to be done by a scientific evidence-based tool, and I have used in my entire career a tool called Talent Plus out of Nebraska, which I strongly believe in because it has given me extraordinary results. So now you have that X-ray. Then you look at the skill set and the experience of what this individual brings to me. So now I know his or her natural talents. I know his or her skill and experience set. Now I use this to put that individual on the right seat on the bus. And then I'm going to heavily invest in that individual. Not investing in by sending them to seminars and meetings where I teach them to learn more about the talents they don't have, because that is a waste of time and a waste of money. No, I'm going to invest more in the talents they have so that they start feeling encouraged to do even more with the natural talents they have. Because being compassionate to a customer or creating wonderful relationship to a customer, you can't train that. It's either in you or not. And if you have that, if you focus on talent, you put people on the right seat on the bus, and then you invest heavily in them to utilize the talents to the fullest, and you then empower them, meaning you get out of the way, you empower them to do more with the talents they possess, meaning that therefore they can make decisions. They don't have to come 20 times asking for approval for this and that. No, you allow them to do things as long as they promote the vision. Then you have automatic growth. Then you get automatic financial results. Because when you have a highly emotionally engaged workforce, which feels valued, which feels emotionally engaged, they are going to triple your innovation ideas. They are going to reduce your errors. They are going to reduce your waste. You don't have to tell them, hey guys, there is waste here, stop spending money. They automatically, naturally will cut out your waste because they feel emotionally engaged. They feel they are an owner in your organization. And then they are going to automatically, naturally engage with your customer so much better that your customer says, my goodness, I can't imagine my world without this company. And therefore go and tell everybody, bring you new customers, etc. That is what a talent-based organization is all about. That is how you create sustainable growth for a company. And particular post-COVID-19, if companies are not waking up to this, if companies continue, doing the same old, they have to accept that one day they're going to be irrelevant, because there's going to be somebody there. There's going to be one day somebody there who says, you know what, I have a new way in how to do this. And then one day they all wake up and they think, why are we losing market share? Why are we not financially doing well anymore? Because leadership was falling asleep at the wheel and refused to do what's right.
Have you done such a test for yourself, or could we know what are your natural talents? Not only from your experience now that you have, what are you, how would you describe yourself from outside?
Listen, by the time I'm done with you, everybody knows everything about me.
But you're so interesting. So I think not only me, we can learn a lot about yourself. And I hope also that you write a book, because I think you have so much to share.
Well, my natural talents, obviously, really, the talent-based organization, the Talent Plus tool has done a great job. They have picked the best leaders in each industry, in each category. And then around those leaders, they created those talent expectations. And then when you come in as a candidate like me, I'm being matched to the best of the best. And how do my talents compare to that? And how close do I come to that? And so naturally, I have talent for relationships. I have talent for compassion. You know, I have talent for negativity, which means I can handle negativity. People critiquing me, or when things go wrong, do I bounce back from that? Have I picked up on my learnings for that? So these are some of my key talent index elements. And I think, you know, this tool I've used at Ritz-Carlton, I've used at Henry Ford, I've used at Cancer Treatment Centers of America, because it is for me a significant component of creating success. And I highly recommend that anybody, doesn't matter how small you are, doesn't matter whether you're new to open facility or you're an existing facility, you know, it's very important that you utilize it. I give you an example. Ritz-Carlton Dearborn, worst performing hotel in the company. One of the first things I did, I made sure that the whole leadership team there knew my talents and I knew their talents, and we had it all transparently on a board. So now that we could see, hey, when we have this issue or this project, who on the team is the best to handle this? So we didn't have this, well, I'm the general manager, I have to do it, or I'm the food and beverage director, so I have to do it. No, based on the talent, we made sure that the best talented individual would handle this concern or handle this project accordingly. And then we went to the next level and the next level and the next level. That at those levels, everybody understood their unique, different talents, so that you got now everybody to focus more as a team to really address any projects or any concerns, and then really exceed their expectations. And I think if companies can more and more do that, the better it will be.
How is your day-to-day life now, especially during and after the pandemic?
Well, I'm involved in different projects, including the development of a lifestyle hotel with a complete focus on evidence-based wellness programs. I'm involved in a project where we are focusing on those individuals who cannot get answers in the traditional healthcare and are looking for ways in how they can get to the root cause of their disease, and do that in a hospitality setting where they truly can start living a optimal health, where they can living a better quality life. I'm involved in a project with a real estate developer who's going to create a significant focus on healthcare, because he believes that there's great growth opportunities there. So I'm helping them to look at different ways in how they can penetrate that market and what is the future of healthcare going to be. So these are some of the things I'm every day keeping me busy.
How many hours does have your day? 48, 60 hours?
No. I still have time to wine and dine and you know, and focus on my family. So I you know, it's you also have to be strict and disciplined when and when not to. And so, you know, you always have to try to strive to find a certain balance. Otherwise, you can't be productive. Otherwise, you don't bring value. You need to recharge your battery.
What do you do to recharge when you're not working?
Well,
any ritual or anything specific?
No, I don't have a ritual, but I'm a fanatic, soccer fanatic. So
Eindhoven, Amsterdam, Ajax, Ajax or Eindhoven?
No, I'm an Ajax fan, but I'm also a Liverpool fan.
Oh, nice.
So I'm very into that. Love working out, love eating good. I love food, great wines. So
I can see
things like that.
If you would travel back in history and have a dinner or a coffee or rather a very good wine with a personality, historic or alive, in the hospitality or not, who would you choose?
I probably would choose my father, because I lost my father to cancer, and I would love to sit with him now and tell him how much his influence on me made me the person I am today, and what, because of his belief, I was able to accomplish. And he has seen some of my growth in my career, but he never saw what I ultimately all was able to deliver. So if it had to be somebody, it would be him.
And what would you talk about him? What would you talk with him? Would you just listen to him? Would you like him to see what you have done?
As I just said, I would, tell him, how his upbringing of me and his values helped me to become the person I am today. And that because of his beliefs in how you treat people, that I was able to be successful in industries I never had any experience in or never was educated in. And so I would love for him to hear from me what significant impact he had and still has on my life.
How was your upbringing with him? Which values did he give you on his as being a father?
All the values which I shared with you over our conversation.
That comes from your father. Wow.
That's from my father.
And the decision to go into the hospitality school in Maastricht, was this you were already thinking about going into hospitality, or how did it came?
I was going to be a famous soccer player, and at the age of 17, in my mind, I believe I was going to be the next Johan Cruyff. Johan Cruyff was one of the most famous soccer players.
Are you joking or are you serious?
No, I'm serious.
Serious? Oh, wow.
So, that's what I was going to be, and I was technically very strong. And at the age of 17, I was a right winger. A defender basically destroyed my ankle. I had to have 3 surgeries, and the surgeon was the club surgeon of Ajax Amsterdam. He actually did the surgery on me. And after a year, I was able to go back on the training grounds, but I wasn't the same anymore. I was more fearful. Technically, I wasn't as strong as I was before. And my career, basically, my dream collapsed. And I was depressed for 3 months. And then a good friend of mine says, stop being this way. Come to my workplace. And he ran a little, beautiful, really unique bar. A bar, no TVs, like now in America, where everybody just sits there watching sports, but a bar where people went to mingle, where they went to create relationships, talk about politics, about the relationship, about their worries and fears. And I loved it because I saw these people really enjoying themselves. So that led me to become a bartender. And as a bartender, you learn a lot, because as a bartender, people start opening up to you. Total strange men and women open up to their personal life, about their issues, their worries, their relationships, because you are safe, because afterwards they leave and they don't see you anymore. And that led me then to say, hey, I like this world. So then I went to the hotel school and got my degree.
Wow. Concerning the education, continuous learning, books, you mentioned already Deep Blue Ocean. Which other books have marked you, or philosophers, or however you want to name it?
There's a book, and again, many companies and industries go wrong in this. We never should underestimate the power and the value of women when it comes to anything related to business. And still today, many organizations don't get it. There's a book called The Power of the Purse, which I read, and that instigated in me a significant desire to really focus on what are the unexpressed wishes and needs of women when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to hospitality, when it comes to real estate, when it comes to anything to do with anything in this world. And so that's another book which I put a lot of value in.
How would you say was the experience to win as a team also the 2 times the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award?
Well, the Malcolm National Baldrige Quality Award is the highest quality award you can get in the United States. And it's given out by the President of the United States. And when I was at the Ritz-Carlton, Horst Schulze was very eager to want to go through this process, not to get the award, but to help us to be a much more customer-focused organization. Because Malcolm Baldrige, it's all at the end, what are you focusing on? The customer. Customer is centric. And with that, it helps you as an organization to give yourself an X-ray of, are we really having the right processes in place in order to drive that total focus on the customer? And it helps you to identify waste, it helps you to identify hurdles so that you can create a system and a structure in your organization where everybody is focused on that customer. And so we were very proud to win the Malcolm Baldrige Award twice with Ritz-Carltons. And then when I was at Henry Ford Health System, Nancy Schlichting wanted to make sure that we as a system were going to apply for this award. And I believe my team at my hospital, we were very proud because we played a significant role in Henry Ford Health System getting that award, because one of the things they were looking for, the lessons learned in Henry Ford West Bloomfield, did you spread that through the entire system? And that's when I received the third Malcolm Baldrige Award. So outside of the leadership of being a servant leader, being creative, innovative, I also learned a lot about how to do that in a structured fashion so that you're creating a well-oiled, efficient organization, which ultimately keeps your financial results also growing.
Mm-hmm. Just to coming to an end, I think you have a lot of things to do. Would you suggest your children to go into hospitality industry, or how is your education as now being in the role of a father with your children? You're giving, I guess, the same values that you were given?
Now, the only thing I expect from my children is that they do something they feel passionate about. And wherever I can I help them to find that passion. And if that would mean they will be on a truck and collecting garbage every morning, if that's their passion and they really feel that's their calling, then I will applaud that, and I will be there to support them. Because again, studies have shown if you're really passionate about something, then work is not work anymore. Then you really enjoy making a difference, and you enjoy being part of a group of people who are creating excellence. And then, by the way, when you go home, your relationships will be better at home too. So the only thing I expect from my kids is that they focus on something they're passionate about. And I don't want them to choose a college or a job without them even yet knowing what their true passion is. And there is ways to help them with that, but that's the only thing I expect from my kids.
Mm-hmm. Any tip, recommendation for the audience to find his or her passion, apart from the system that you mentioned?
Well, first of all, get to really understand what makes you tick. So doing a talent review of yourself
Mm.
would be a big help, because sometimes we don't see what we really are talented in. So go out there and connect with a company which can help you to identify your natural talents, because your natural talents, research has shown, is developed in your first 8 years of your existence. And even though through experiences and events in your life, your talent hardly changes through your lifetime. So identifying it early enough will help you then to find opportunities, jobs, colleges, where your talent is a good fit with that, so that you can then really utilize your talents in an environment where you then also will feel very passionate about, because you're doing something which really is in you from birth, and you are really going to make a difference with that.
To come to an end, I would just give you some short words, keywords, and you tell me what comes into mind when you hear these words. Okay, like more, not so rational, rather like intuitive. If I say, for example, money, what do you think of as first?
The root of all evil.
Your favorite destination?
Maastricht, the Netherlands, my home city.
Your favorite hotel?
Too many to say.
2 or 3?
I was very proud of the Ritz-Carlton in Bali. I thought that was a lovely hotel. The Ritz-Carlton Osaka, which I also opened. The Peninsula in Hong Kong. And then here in America, I love the Ritz-Carlton in Half Moon Bay, which is an hour outside of San Francisco.
Okay. Your favorite hotelier?
It's a combination of Simon Cooper, Kurt Wachfeitel, and Horst Schulze.
Okay. Which elements of each one of them? If you have to choose one quality.
Highly inspiration.
Of both of 3? Or of all the 3?
All three.
High inspiration. What is inspiration?
Inspiration is getting people to go beyond the boundaries of imagination. A leader is ineffective if he can't inspire his people.
Your favorite movie?
By far, Dead Poets Society.
Oh, I just talked about this movie today with Robin Williams quoting Walt Whitman. Sorry?
Seize the day, carpe diem.
Yeah. Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Exactly.
What was your favorite soccer player?
Johan Cruyff.
And actual now, somebody that is still playing, active?
I have a lot of respect for Ronaldo. I think he's a brilliant.
More Ronaldo or Messi?
No, Ronaldo. Especially at his age. I mean, he's 36, I believe now.
Yeah, 37, no?
Yeah, he's still a world-class player. Manchester United needs to get their act together to, take advantage of a player like him on the team. And the way Manchester United is going at this moment is highly questionable.
Haven't you ever thought about going to bring excellence in a football club as a football trainer?
I actually have thought about it, but haven't gotten there yet. But who knows? I still have a whole life in front of me.
Maybe when Jürgen Klopp retires, you could replace him at Liverpool.
Oh, that would be a dream coming true.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Well, Mr. Grinsven, thank you so much for your time. it's really inspiring. You quoted Simon Cooper, Horst Schulze, and Wachtfeitel as inspiring. I think you belong also there. You're so inspiring, and I could go on and on and on. But I guess your family would tell me to shut down my computer and leave you alone, because it's really great, all that you have told us, and I hope it's not the last time. And I would be really honored and happy to meet you in person, and maybe also to play against you in soccer. Maybe we could organize a little soccer game.
Well, I don't mind to play against you, but you have to be prepared that you're going to lose.
Oh, yeah, we'll see. Okay. And yes, whenever you are in Austria, I'm not in San Francisco, as you can see. Yes, I would love to invite you for a wine or a espresso or coffee or whatever you like. And yes, really, without nothing else to add to this. And I also should tell you saludos from Ángel Ruiz, who is the brother of my mom. And maybe you remember him. He started as a waiter at the Club Grill in the Ritz-Carlton Cancun, where I did my first training when I was 15, 16 years old. I was working there at the kitchen. And yes, and he mentioned you. I asked him, and he said, no, he's a great guy and also very funny.
I'll send him my regards, will you?
Thank you so much. And all the best to Boca Raton, I guess, no?
All right. You take care. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.